Jokes.
I was joking.
Arcs. I didn't know you were into wildlife.
Marley, I love you. I really love you. ARCS. A-R-C-S. Adult Rehabilitation Centres.
Oh, I see.
Quite. All right. Here we go. 5 large country houses. 2 of them, once classed as ancestral homes, have been bought by the government for conversion into psychiatric hospitals, special psychiatric hospitals for the treatment of social misfits. New paragraph. These, quote, hospitals, quote.
Dear. I'm going to tell you a story. Now, frequently I hear, without explicitly swearing on camera, because let's face it, it's appropriate sometimes to swear, but habitual expression of the F word for no good reason is rather childish and not conducive to communication. So I frequently hear, and in this sense I frequently hear, the FU or observe the FU expression. And of course I've used it once, I guess, in my life, when talking to a life form, a replicant, a creature which was in no way related to the human race. And of course this phrase, this FU, has come back again and again and again, as if it was the only swear word which was ever sworn into which was ever expressed towards anybody anywhere. It's almost as though there was some, it's the sort of reaction one might expect to see this coming back to you again and again and again. The sort of reaction one might expect if one had actually been expressing that phrase to I don't know, a drug-addled Eastern European woman who was in some sense not using English as a first language, and therefore regarded the casual swearing as something novel. Anyway, the phrase I've always used in earnest is "fuck off," because back in the day, many years before the rather boring little brawl that happened at the end of that circumstance, many years before that, I was on an underground train and I told some very unpleasant young fellow to fuck off because, well, it seemed appropriate. I was looking, I guess, in my own peculiarly immature way, having lost my way since childhood by dropping out of the ways of manhood, in the sense of fighting at least. I got into a fight on the underground train by using that phrase, and apparently to use that phrase, fuck off, is to, in East End London terms, is, or at least London terms, is adequate, is sufficient, is sufficiently serious to be taken seriously and to engender subsequent violence. And of course that strikes me, whether it was or whether it wasn't, I guess it was. It strikes me as somewhat substantially more authentic than this ongoing chronic revisiting of a silly little scuffle years later at the end of the 80s, somewhere in the West End of London. For that to be a traumatic or even seminal event is really an embarrassment, a childish joke, in a world which has become enfeebled and pathetic simply because a minor scuffle like that is regarded as a virtual earthquake of significance, whereas in fact it was just a man defending his feelings of honour and, for what it's worth, putting up a token resistance for the honour in general of women. And this essentially is all it was. Having attempted to walk away, whatever circumstances revealed themselves afterwards, I swore off violence for the simple reason that it suddenly became stupid to continue. It suddenly became a fake choice to defend oneself in a world where there was no defence, or a country where there was no defence, and in a fight which was staged, managed and stacked against me. So I don't do violence anymore, essentially. I might indulge once I acquire safety and certainty in my new domicile. I might indulge myself against the offensiveness which one frequently obtains in the company of people from the old country. Although I'm sure, because the violence is indeed staged these days and part of a huge phony system, then I probably would avoid indulging, or they probably will avoid giving me the excuse to indulge. At the very least, I will introduce the United Kingdom's alien overlords to the rich fullness of Londoners' vocabulary as I acquired it from veterans, Navy veterans, Army veterans, truck drivers, warehousemen, West Indians, as I acquired it during my sojourn through the world of adventure and freedom that was still to some extent to be found in London in the 80s. So if somebody seriously tries to come across as authentic or having said the last word in expletive expression simply by trotting out the old "fu" nonsense, frankly that is an almost affectionate and rather trivial and certainly ineffective expression of non-intent, expression of, well, it's a matter of phoning in your own verbal expression if you resort to casual phrases like that. If you want to say something serious, tell them to fuck off. If they take offence, they will either attack you physically, or they will actually fuck off the way I have. So anything other than that is the mark of a degenerate mind which is incapable of understanding the realities of its circumstances and will not simply fuck off and go away like I have. So, what can I say? It's morning. It's time to get up. It's time to make another cup of joe. And in order to start the morning properly, as I have been reiterating frequently, I will now say, Britain, fuck off.